Carrying body and soul and embracing the one, can you avoid separation? Hey, welcome back to another Tao Te Ching reading. Today we are doing number 10. I am Mark.
And I'm Adam.
Number 10. Carrying body and soul and embracing the one, can you avoid separation? Attending fully and becoming supple, can you be as a newborn babe? Washing and cleansing the primal vision, can you be without stain? Loving all men and ruling the country, can you be without cleverness? Opening and closing the gates of heaven, can you play the role of woman? Understanding and being open to all things, are you able to do nothing? Giving birth and nourishing, bearing yet not possessing, working yet not taking credit, leading yet not dominating. This is primal virtue.
Whoa.
Yeah, so is your version similar to this? We have
Um,
different versions here.
yeah, it looks pretty similar. Slightly different wording, but yeah, it's sort of like the same balancing of sort of allowing versus like forcing is what the words is coming up
Mm,
with me right now. Um, I love the way that they have these questions in there. They're very evocative questions.
I like understanding and being open to all things. Are you able to do nothing? There's this
Yeah.
concept of nothingness that shows up a lot in Taoism and Buddhism, and I feel like to some degree there's a little bit of a maybe misinterpretation or mistranslation, misconception with this nothing, empty kind of concept where people take it very literally, and it's like do nothing or be empty. But like to your point, it's more about not forcing something and allowing things to unfold in the natural way. And that's why there's this interesting quote here about can you play the role of woman? And womanhood, feminine energy is very much about the flowing versus the forging
Hmm.
of things and the activity. It's more about stepping into that flow of the natural way of things. So I feel like there's a lot of that kind of stuff coming through here. Like even can you be as a newborn babe, a
Hmm.
newborn baby, just innocent and just free of preconceptions and
Hmm.
expectations and those unfortunate things that wrap themselves around us as adults that hinder us in a lot of ways from just flowing into what we're naturally
Hmm.
supposed to be doing.
Hmm.
Does that kind of resonate?
Yeah, absolutely. I find it really interesting that they're using this metaphorical language of like the baby and the mother because like according to what I've read about early childhood development, like the baby doesn't really understand itself as separate from the mother. It takes time for the baby to even conceptualize itself as not being just part of the mother. And I feel like it's almost like calling us back to this sort of natural state of oneness of yes, we're differentiated, but sort of like how it said, like be like the mother can like passing and going, I think it said, or something coming and going. Like it to me was really evocative of like the incarnation process that the woman is in charge of, right? By
Mm,
birthing new life and by allowing new life to kind of be cultivated in the womb. And I feel like it's kind of calling us to this return in some ways to this natural state of being one with things, which doesn't necessarily mean that like you said, like it's not doing nothing. But it's really just like being completely participatory, but without a whole lot of like what's the word? I guess the word that's coming up for me is like desire to make a name for yourself, but that's a very like human, like current time kind of conceptualization. But that kind of vibe is what I'm feeling that is kind of calling us to say, hey, you can turn some of those egoic pursuits to the side and just like be the field. And sometimes the field requires like as a leader, like it requires you to do things and act, but you're acting like from the field, not acting from like your own what your mind thinks needs to happen.
yeah.
It's more like, oh, this is what it seems like this moment requires of me.
Hmm. Yeah, releasing expectations and yeah, doing things for I guess the greater good, not just for the self, but even though the self is very important, but the self is part of the greater good, right? So when you work solely from the self, that's different. Yeah. I
Yeah,
like
and there's
the
different layers of self. Yeah.
that kind of speaks to the quote of bearing yet not possessing.
Yeah.
Possession is a very strong word, and obviously we see that in kind of that demonic kind of possession realm of things, but also just possessions of material things of it's
Yeah.
mine, like go on my precious.
Yes.
That's that
Yes.
possession of it's mine, not yours. It's for me, not for you. Bearing though, like bearing gifts, it's a little bit more of a positive swing on things where it's for all. It's all
Yeah.
encompassing.
Yeah.
Working yet not taking credit. Also doing to do to be helpful, to be helpful to your neighbor, to your family, to your student, or whatever, without saying, well, look at how great I am, look at what I
Mhm.
did. Releasing that credit, because that still serves more so the self than the others.
Yeah. Especially like what some people call like the little self or like the little I, the ego, the personality that we've
Hmm.
created. But my understanding of these things is that like the personality is a co-creation with the higher self and the moment that we're being born into, right? And so it's like that little I is meant to sort of serve the bigger I, but the little I
Mm-hmm.
thinks that it's in charge of everything. And that's what our society and our culture tells us, right? That we gotta,
Mm-hmm.
be somebody.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, leading yet not dominating. This is the primal virtue.
Mm,
Leading,
mm-hmm.
showing others the way, a way, not saying this is how things are to be done because I say so. That's dominating. Do what I want. That's dominating. But helping people see multiple pathways that works for them, for all of us together. That's leading. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and like genuine like co-creation, using our creative power, but in harmony with all the other beings and people and using their creative power, right, to create something.
very nice. Well, tell us what you think in the comments. Do you resonate with what we've said? Do you see something completely different? Maybe you have a different version that has other words, other interpretations. We'd love to hear what you think.